We do not want to take for granted the millions of viewers who are actually listening to you right now. And looking at when you have started talking about this Leadership Institute, 2002 till now, speaks volume. So you may be able to count 50,000 plus, but there may have been a lot of people who may have also been impacted. But I want you to speak on this controversy in this two school of thought who believe that, you know, like one of the authors says that how Europe underdeveloped Africa, talking about Walter Rodney. And you also look at people saying that it doesn't have to be white to be right. So what does it take for us as a people to know that, hey, the blame game is over? We've become independent all this while. What does it take to be the Singapore and the US of this world without necessarily having to move over there?
Thank you so much. That's a beautiful question. So everyone has a history, right? So we have our history in our part of the world. What we should bear in mind is all over the world, when a people have experienced slavery or colonization, there are some basic characteristics that are common to them. The first one is low self-esteem. Low self-esteem. Slaves are treated with indignity, right? Secondly, poverty. Slaves cannot own anything. You can't ask how much is in the slave's bank account because the slave is somebody's property. So the slave and the bank account are the property of the owner. So another characteristic, mediocrity. If you have slaves, they live in the slums. They live in low-quality areas. Now, when people have been in such a state over a long period of time, remember I said, it goes into the subconscious. It becomes a part of their identity. I read about the elephant that is used in the circus show, how it is conditioned to be obedient, as big as it is. When the elephant is a baby, they tie a rope to its leg. They tie that rope to a stick. They leave it there for months, for a long time. Elephant roams about, but when it gets to the point where the rope is fully extended, rope pulls it, elephant stops. They found out that when after several months they remove that rope, the elephant will walk. When it gets to the point where it stopped before, it will stop and walk back. Never beyond. When I read that story many years ago, it hit me like a thunderbolt. Because what I saw had happened there was that the rope had moved from the leg of the elephant into its mind. I said to myself, a rope in the mind of the elephant is as effective as the rope on the leg of the elephant. We human beings are like that. We stay in an environment for long enough, the environment moves from the outside and moves on the inside to the extent that even when you take us away from that environment, we still carry that environment along with us. And we will be behaving the way we behaved before. Slavery, colonization happened. We can't run away from that. Even now, there's still a world order, right, that makes our economies inferior to those of other countries. When we want to prosper, it threatens some other countries, fine. We have to change. We have to start with a change in our thinking, a change in our mindset. And I want to explain the role of leadership there. Once again, if you occupy a leadership position, it is a very rare opportunity that must not be wasted. It is ability to influence everybody to move in a particular direction. The first thing, therefore, is those institutions that have the capacity to influence the human mind, we need to use them positively now. In leadership, the most important tool for shifting people's mindset collectively is what we call vision. That mental picture of where we're going. So right now, my recommendation, we need to create a picture of what Nigeria will look like in 30 years' time, and it needs to be a developed economy. Those pictures have profound effect on people. Don't underestimate it. So I run a class in our leadership school. It is called National Development. We have a special session of it every July. We bring in teenagers from the age of 13 to the age of 19 in the class. I test something on the students. We have a reel that has pictures, right, and videos. The first part of the reel shows Nigeria the way it is. The traffic jam, the dirty areas and everything. And then at some point, the pictures change and then begin to show what Nigeria will look like. The schools in 2030, the library in 2040, the hospital, what the headquarters of the Nigeria police will look like, the Nigeria customs, the Air Force, what the aircraft will look like. When we switch to that, the class just becomes animated. And then you hear the young people will be clapping and shouting, and the chatter goes up in the class. I want to say this to us in this country, where there is no vision, people perish. It's in the Bible. If we don't decide that Nigeria will become a developed economy and actually create the pictures, right? Things that will stay with people, things that are memorable, that they can't forget, things that will roll over and over and over and over again in people's minds. If we don't establish that future Nigeria now, I'm sorry to say, 30 years from now, we may still be here. I know we don't like to hear that. In fact, a pastor should not be saying bad things, right? I'm sorry to say so. It's just that 30 years ago, if somebody said Nigeria was to look like this now, I would almost have slapped the person. But here we are. Where did we say we were going to be 30 years ago? So more than anything else now, Nigeria needs a vision. And everyone that has a platform, both public and private, needs to promote that vision, promote those pictures. That's very important. When we've established that vision, then we need to talk about values. What kind of behavior will make that vision possible? We talk about love, we talk about honesty, we talk about excellence, and so on. That's why I still believe in the possibility of a prosperous and successful Nigeria.